is I just do separately managed accounts on Interactive Brokers, and it's just my money, my wife and my money, and then one investor.
Understood. And so for the last 13 years, you have been at the same stage. I mean, you haven't wanted to scale it up before, correct?
No, so here, how about I just give you like a 30,000-foot flyby on my last, basically my last 12, 13 years. So I graduated college and I went to New York and I prop traded. Basically I was a day trader and I just prop traded my own money for a year, and then I got a job at a hedge fund, essentially trading my own book. We did international arbitrage, a little bit more complicated, not what I do today. And I was doing well, and unfortunately that fund went under during the taper tantrum in 2011. And then from there, I went to a company by the name of BTIG. They're a big institutional broker, and I worked on what was called an outsourced trading desk. And I traded for, big funds, funds, over 500 million up to, I think our biggest fund ran about 3.5 billion. And essentially it was like a firm where they didn't want to have an internal trader. So they hired us, they prime brokered at BTIG. We knew all their positions and we executed all their orders. We handled all their relationships with the street. And I did that for about 2.5 years. And I traded my own money, while I worked there. And that's really when I started growing my accounts, when I worked there. And then, so I was there for about 3 years. And then the compliance rules got pretty tough for me to trade my own money. And so I went and I started selling mutual funds. And I sold mutual funds for 3 years. And then from there, my father-in-law got sick and we moved from San Francisco to Philadelphia so my wife could be closer. And I got a job selling software, basically so I could work from home and trade my money. And from there, I had a huge 2020. I won the U.S. Investing Championship, and then that's when I went out and I started trading full time. About 5 years ago, and I started my fund. And maybe technically I started it in January, but I didn't bring on my first client until probably about April or May of 2021, which was essentially the top of the market, and we went into a bear market, and I had a drawdown. I had a tough, probably first year and a half of running the fund. And then, my one investor actually came on basically at the top. He didn't come on in the beginning. He came on like literally at the top. And he stayed with me, and we've ripped back the last, 2 or 3 years. And that's basically where I met. So initially when I started, I had friends and family money. I had like really small accounts, like 50,000 from my sister, 50,000 from my brother. Like I had 200,000 from my one buddy. And then, when I had my drawdown is what I realized is like, here I am with my own money and I'm down like 400 grand. It's like, I'm really hurting. And my sister's down like 6 grand. And like, you'd think that like the world was caving in and like, I just realized like, what am I doing? I'm running these tiny accounts. And I actually think for my brother and sister, I wasn't even charging them anything. And, they're really a distraction. And I said, I'm doing this all wrong. I should either just trade my own money or I should just reassess who I'm going to be running money.
When it was that?
So that was probably, I gave them their money back in about mid 2022. Literally, I gave them their money back at about the bottom of the market. So the timing couldn't have been worse. And then I just had this one investor who stayed with me, and he was down, on what he gave me.
How much he has invested with you?
So originally he offered me 30 million. This guy's actually worth $7 billion. And then, I initially told him, I said, hey, I think that's too much money for me to take up front because, I had like 2 million of my own money. And
And
so I
how do you know him? I mean, is it like from your own network, or how you came contact with them?
No, so that's what I was saying. I won this US investing championship thing, which is it's like considered a big deal. And he found me. He reached out to me. I don't even know him. He's from China. I mean, he owns casinos in Macau. I have no
Mm.
idea. I mean, now I've had a relationship with him for 4 years. We've developed a lot of trust. Like I think he'll give me more money. He just bought this brand new hotel, and he's kind of been out of communication. But he's going to be like, I've already like asked him for more money 2 days ago. He just hasn't responded yet, because sometimes he takes like 2 months to respond to me. He's just like a busy guy, and he's always been that way. But I met him via winning that US investing championship. And I had a lot of other people reach out to me as well. And I just didn't take them on, partially because a lot of the people who reached out to me, they were sort of like my brother and sister, in that they were like 50 grand, 100 grand. And the reality was, it's like, I didn't really want to take 100 grand from somebody. My brother and my sister were unique because they were my brother and my sister, right? But just some person giving me 100 grand, like, typically, my one investor doesn't bother me at all. Even when I was down, he wasn't bothering me. Whereas the smaller accounts are typically the ones that are kind of harder to manage. That's been my experience. And keep in mind, I've only really had like 6 or 7 total clients anyway. Um, but so then, I started to come back. I think in 2023, I sent you my performance. I can't remember my exact number in 2023, but I beat the market. I was up triple digits in 2024. And this year I'm up 21%, but I've taken 3.5 months off. So I basically only traded 2 months. My dad died, and I was honestly like really crushed, and I didn't even start really working again until, about a month and a half ago. Um, and when something like that happens to you, you start doing a lot of soul searching. So, really, like last year, I had my best financial year ever. I'll tell you everything. I made $1.5 million, and I've got all these Twitter followers from winning that investing championship. I have this paid newsletter that really, like, makes me a couple hundred grand, but really not that much money. And I've grown my account. I grew it from like $2,500 to 880 grand. Like no options, none of that crap. Just like literally dinking and dunking, working low and consistent. And I look out there from when I traded institutionally, from when just like being in the business in different capacities. And I see like you really get, I realized when I traded institutionally, I had like 10 clients, and they would always turn over. They'd be running like 3, 4, 500 million, and they would literally have no idea what they were doing. Like, I got to tell you that they really were not that skilled, but they were making a lot of money. So it's like, my dad dies, and I'm kind of like, what do I want to do with my life? And, like, yeah, I made $1.5 million last year. That's great. 10
I
years
mean,
ago, I
I
would have
mean,
been
I
like
mean,
stoked.
Oliver. If you want to compare your own self to your own environment, you will absolutely see your own self that you have already crushed it. But if you want to compare your own self with the real players, you understand? So it's completely different levels. You can see it from
That's what
different
I'm
angles.
saying.
You can see it from different angles, from different viewpoints, and it's all about your own mindset, and it's all about how you want to see it. Do you understand? I can absolutely tell you that today you have already crushed it comparing with someone who has already been like in the industry for like few years, but comparing with someone who has already been in the financial industry for over 10 years. So you have not. You got it? I mean, I have already seen other players
Yeah.
today who rising like 500 million in less than like 1 year. So you can see it from different angles. It depends on who would you compare your own self to. But in total, congrats on your own success. And if it feels for you like it's enough, and you want just to continue as you are and just having like chill life or easy mood, it's absolutely up to you. Correct?
Yeah, but what you just said there, like you pinned the tail on the donkey. Like I feel like I'm underachieving. Like, it's not even about the money. It's more so like I know that I'm capable of so much more. Like I can run a bigger fund, I can make more money, I can just really excel myself, which is what I'm trying to do. Like I'm a very motivated, competitive person. And like I've done well from the outside looking in, but in my own head, I'm actually like very frustrated with where I'm at. And it's time for me right now. Like I got 2 kids, I'm 38 years old. I'm hitting that point in my life where it's like, all right, like let's go. Um, and I want to raise some money and really go for it. You know, I think I had a little bit of cold feet after how I initially started my fund, but looking back on it all, I think it's going to prove to be a blessing. And, you know, that's the name of the game. You got to dust yourself off and keep going. And I'm ready to raise money and go for it. And I've got the knowledge, I've got the skill set, I've got a unique strategy that I think I can sell to people. And it's just putting myself out there and going for it. And that's what I want to do. Like, no doubt about it.
Understood, man. And so you have already been at the same stage for like certain years. Start at 2012. Right now you are at 2025. You're looking to scale it up. What the capital targets that you are looking to rise? I mean, from your own perspective, what do you think that you are willing to actually have the capacity for with your own current strategy?
Sure. So with my strategy, like I think realistically, my strategy in its own form. So I basically hold stocks typically for like 2 to 12 weeks. You know, I might hold something for 4 or 5 months, but I would say that's, you know, the exception, not the rule. I trade very liquid stocks. You know, I trade like Nvidia, Tesla. Like I'm not trading illiquid stuff. So I think legitimately I could probably run up to like 150 million bucks. But initially starting out, you know, my goal is to try to get going with like 25 to 50 million, which is no problem for me to manage that amount of money from where I'm at. Like, for example, like I caught this move in Palantir. I had like 20,000 shares. Like I could easily clip off 150, 200,000 shares of Palantir, like no problem. Like I can get in and out of that market, no problem from a liquidity standpoint. And one thing to just kind of clarify, like I started trading in like 2012, but really like I got into sales, like as an institutional broker, selling mutual funds, etc. So I haven't really been working on my funds specifically for 12, 13 years. I've been trading my own money for basically like 4 years, you know, just to kind of position it, you know, accurately.
Mm, understood. So 40 years, you have already started with your own fund, let's say that. And who has already wanted you to actually be in the industry and become like a real player in the industry? And you have already mentioned to me that it was your own dad before, correct?
Yeah, so my dad was the lead market maker in Microsoft. So my dad always only traded his own money, but you know, he was the lead market maker in Microsoft. He traded on the Pacific Exchange in California. And you know, he started in the Lockheed pits, then Microsoft. And my dad traded from like 1976 to he left the floor in '02, and he traded remote, electronically till probably about 2011 or so. So yeah, he was a professional trader for 36 years. And then, my dad did blow up once, which, was tough, but, that's one of the downsides to only trading your own money. I mean, you never want to blow up, but if it's all your own money, that's literally that's your family's money. And then, he kind of always dabbled in the markets until he passed away, but he wasn't, trading full time after 2011.
Mm, understood. And is it like he was the one who wanted you to actually go all in into it, or is it like it was from your own side?
So look, actually, I didn't really want to, I didn't want to get into trading because, I'll put it this way, man. I lived in a mansion in Marin County in California, which is one of the nicest areas in the country. And when I was in about, my freshman year of high school, my dad blew up and my mom moved to Lowell, Massachusetts, which is like a total dump. And so I wasn't really looking to get into trading because, I kind of had that experience as a kid. But You know, when I
So
graduated college,
your lifestyle, it has already shifted multiple times since you were as a kid.
hey man, I've seen like extreme wealth, and then I'm talking, I've seen a level of poverty where like we didn't always have food on the table, and then
How has
now,
that made you feel?
I mean, I'm motivated as shit. Like, I'm very motivated guy. I've got a massive chip on my shoulder, and it's part of the reason why I'm like, all right, I got to do this. Like, what am I waiting for? I think I've tried this whole time to just grow my money by myself, which I've done, but it's like there's people out there who are raising other people's money and they're just flying by me, like you said, in like a year, when they don't have my skill set, they don't have my experience, and it's because they're willing to go out there and leverage, you know, other people's money. And that's what I need to do. Like, I need to step up to the plate and swing the bat, you know. But yeah, I mean, the experience you get from having real money to having no food, and then you know, kind of having to build yourself back up. Like, honestly, I got two kids right now, and they both live a pretty good life, right? You know, my wife does well, I do well, and one of my concerns for them is, are they going to have the same driving motivation that I've had? Because, you know, they haven't had that setback, at least not yet. And so I guess that's probably the best way to describe how that made me feel is it puts a chip on your shoulder, like, no doubt about it.
Understood. So, in other words, you have already started to compare your own self by what you have already had before. I mean, the lifestyle, the all what you have already went through, and you start to tell your own self, all right, I have already made something that has already been way better than what it was before. So I like, all right, achievement in some way, correct?
I mean, yes, but so yes and no. So one, I've already done better than where my mother was at, like, for sure. You know, my mother raised five kids basically on welfare. So done way better. But I would say that one of my frustrations is I almost think I've had some limiting beliefs, like, hey, I've done better. You know, like when I was coming out of college, it's like, oh man, I want to make 100 grand. And you know, you get a little older and you're like, 100 grand is shit. Like, that's not that much money. And then I made a million, and like I felt like pretty good, made $1 million, and it's like, all right, but it's just like, are you really judging yourself by like the money or like what you're capable of? And it's like, you know, if I made 1 million, I could have been doing the exact same thing, literally just trading the money, but with more of it, and I could have made 25 million. um, and so it's like, from that point of view, even though obviously I am happy with some of my accomplishments and what I've done, you know, raising my kids and stuff, I'm also frustrated in that, you know, you've kind of like not fully taken advantage of this opportunity. And it's like, you know, why
Do you
not?
think
Like,
that you are desired for more?
say
Yeah, I said, do you think that you are desired for more, Oliver?
again? Hell yeah. Like, absolutely. Like, literally, I'm in my mother-in-law's shore house right now. We're down here for the weekend, and it's like there's houses right across the street that if I was doing better, I could go buy one of those for $4 million. And it's like, you know, why don't I have that money to go buy that house? Like, literally, I was looking out the window before we started this call, and that's what I was thinking. And it's just, I have a lot of big desires, and money is a means to an end, but at the end of the day, is what it comes down to is like what I'm capable of accomplishing. And I'm shortchanging myself right now with how I'm doing things. Like, I want to maximize what I'm capable of, and I want more. Like, why wouldn't I? It's just like a no-brainer to me.
Absolutely. I mean, I have already seen others who has less experience than you, who are doing more actually.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. And so, like, literally, you know, my dad died, and you start asking, you know, what do I want from my life? Like, okay, I'm running this newsletter. I probably outperform the majority of these hedge funds that, you know, are making 50 times as much money as me. You know, do I want to run some newsletter and make like $1 million a year, and you know, make like a 500,000 a year trading? Or do I want to make, you know, $20 million a year and be able to do basically what I love to do, which is run the money.
Mm,
And like, it's a no-brainer. Like, what do you want from your life? Like, I'm 38 years old. Like, I'm not getting any younger. Like, the time is now to strike. And yeah, really, the time was 5 years ago, but the time with where I'm at is right now.
exactly. I mean, the best thing everyone can do is to be aware. I mean, to be aware of our own current time. I mean, how live it is actually, how short it is, and how
Yeah.
time is going away from our own life.
My dad died at 75. I'm 38 years old. Like, I'm at the halfway point. And my dad was perfectly healthy and he died. And so nobody knows when they're coming for you. So you can't wait for tomorrow. And that's my mentality now. Is like, I got to get this done. And you know, I got to get going. Like, what am I waiting for? It's that simple.
Understood. Understood. And right now, you told me that you are managing your own fund, and that you have 4.5 million. Is that you said that right? 4.5, correct?
Yeah, so I have 4.5, and then I have so I've been calling a couple individuals. I got $1 million from two different people. They haven't, opened it yet, but they're in. They're good for it. And then I'm gonna ask. I have one of my college roommates who actually got me into trading. He was number 3 at Coinbase, and he's got like a $5 billion venture fund. And I know he wants to invest. I just need to call him. I need to call him.
Mm,
Those would be the 3 people in addition to what I've got, who like I have no idea how much the Coinbase guy would give me. I mean, he just built a $35 million house on Lake Tahoe. I mean, he could give me a good chunk of change. I just don't know what his appetite is, what he's got going on. But so, with those 3 guys and then the 4.5 million I have, I would say on the low end, it would probably put me at about like 7.5. And my buddy Nick from Coinbase, he could give me more than that. So I just don't quite know exactly what that number would be.
understood. And what the fee structures that you currently have? The 220?
So right now I just run money at a 22.5% performance fee. I don't take a management fee.
Mm,
Uh, and that's just, the one guy I have now, he likes that, because he runs casinos and hotels and stuff, and he bets it all, and so he just liked that structure. I personally like that structure too. I get it. That's the industry standard.
understood. Let's say that you have already raised 150 million, and you will charge the same fee structure as you are charging today.
Sure, why not? I mean, if you look at my numbers, I'd rather get a higher performance fee than a management fee. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. 150 million. Let's say you do 30% in a year, and you're making 25%. You're making what do you make? You're making 45. You're making well over 15 million bucks, and you can go 1 in 20, I guess. Really, when I first started, I was charging 30%. And when I had my drawdown, my investor asked me to come down to 22 and a half, or he asked me to come to 15, and then we compromised on 22 and a half.
Mm,
But initially I started out at 30. And, I think if I got going and had a longer track record, I could get that.
understood. Do
So
you
really,
have
I would try to move up to 30 is what I would try to do. I would try to raise the performance aspect of it.
up to 30?
That's what I would try to do. Yeah, for sure.
Mm, understood. Do you have a BBM document today that you are using with the investors?
So when you say DDM, so
BBM, BBM.
I'm a little foreign.
Yeah, BBM,
What is that?
investor agreement.
Yeah, I have an agreement. Yeah. So I have a compliance firm who set me up, and I just got registered literally like 2 days ago. I got approved by the state of Pennsylvania, and I have an investment agreement that my compliance firm put together for me.
Okay. Can you send it over to our own domain to take a look on it before our own second call? And we can have a second call during the week. I will take a look on my own calendar.
Okay. All right. And then, hey, just a couple questions I had. So, one, currently I'm set up as like an LLC and I run separately managed accounts via Interactive Brokers. So literally I send someone a link, they open an account, and then I have full trading authority on the account. So it's custodied in Interactive Brokers in their name, etc. But I'm not set up as a GPLP like some of these traditional funds. I don't know if that's an issue or not. But I just want to, let you know that I'm willing to. The structure for me, I can set up any way we want. I'm just letting you know that at present. And then, secondly, in those two attachments you sent me, and I don't know if we need to get into the weeds on that now, but you sent me two attachments, one for a like DFY program and one for MENA growth. Are those the same thing or are they separate programs?
Yeah, so we have separate programs. Right now, we are providing programs, done for you programs for the hedge fund managers. Maybe you have already seen that, done for you. That is for the hedge fund manager that we are providing, and we helping them to scale up. So basically, what we do is we helping them by all the sides on how we can rising up capital and retaining the capital and keep scaling up in the asset management. So the hedge fund manager, they can only focus on the portfolio management, generating the best performance, that allow us to draw down report. And the system we have already set up is completely done for you. So it has already been structured from different angles to make sure that we can look it in from all the pain points or from all the value preparations that the hedge fund managers they follow. Maybe you have already seen the video. It has already been sent over to you.
Yeah, I watched your video, and I mean, what I took from it is, having a sales guy, an account manager, building your brand, and then obviously having the data and context to, wrap that, business plan around. Yeah, it was a good video.
Yeah. Do you think that's what you need to scale up?
Yeah, I mean, and so like from my time selling mutual funds, like I have sales guys who I could call. And then I've already been training this guy who's in sales now to kind of be my assistant, my strategy, all that. So I have. Sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. No worries. Go ahead.
No, I have the contacts to fill those roles. I obviously haven't hired anyone like that at present because I just haven't. But it all makes sense to me. And like definitely like the thing that I've taken from watching your LinkedIn videos is, I'm not really looking to be the capital raise guy. I'm looking to trade the money, and I'm more than willing to outsource that to somebody that I hire. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it'll make my life a lot better. Now, if I have to grit and grind initially for the first couple months, like I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes. But I think the structure that you lay out to have a sales guy, to have an account manager for the clients that you bring on, to me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, that's like running a real business versus just, kind of being a guy trading, running like 30 million bucks.
I mean, you can absolutely become. You can absolutely become our say portfolio manager as the others. You understand? I mean, most of the players they are portfolio managers. They are not real hedge fund managers. What we are providing right there is like more into the business model, more into the real players. You got it? So those who actually become more interested in our own programs, in our own systems, those who scaling up from 200 million up to 1 billion and beyond that, and those who actually became more aware that, all right, if we want actually to make it big or we want actually to become real players, then we need actually to treat that as a business model, not like a treatment of like a portfolio management, etc. You understand what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I will say that just for me, like my strategy, like I'm not trying, like it seems like a lot of these big funds are trying to return like 5 or 6% with like a 4 or 5 vol. That's not really what I'm trying to do. Like I'm definitely trying to beat the market, and I'm going to have more volatility, but my correlation to the S&P and the NASDAQ is about 0.3. So like I don't think I'm ever going to be running like $1 billion just because like my strategy requires on some aspects of liquidity. Now, like I said in my email, like I trade off the daily time frame. I could extend that to the weekly with the same strategy, and I could probably run $1 billion, you know, in that scenario. But really, I mean, for me, I'm trying to get 25 to 50 million, and then I'm trying to get that to 150. And each step of the way, I can pivot and decide what I want to do. And, you know, do I want to try to run this to $1 billion, or, you know, what's the goal? What pivots do I have to make from a strategy standpoint if I want to do that? But, you know, realistically, like I'm not trying to be the hedge fund that's making 5 or 6% at a 4 or 5 vol. I just don't think that it just doesn't fit what I've done throughout my career, what my expertise are in. You know, I'm looking to outperform, and I'm an absolute return vehicle for sure.
I understand. Totally understand it. Okay, first of all, let's start with the BBM document. So if you can send it over to our own domain, we will make sure to take a look on it. And at the same time, I will make sure to get back to you with a second call that we can have during the week. I will take a look on my calendar, and I will get back to you after I have already reviewed it. Would that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, great. Thank you for your own time, and I'm looking forward to explore more opportunities. Thank you for your own time, Oliver.
All right. Thank you, Zayed. I appreciate it.
You too. Bye.